Hello, hello, hello. Good morning and welcome to Scotland's Wild Medicine Festival. I am here absolutely hijacking Lilia's Facebook Live as a chance to actually interview the founder herself because we realise that in a lot of these lives, Lilia is chatting to people like me, like people who are teaching or taking part in the festival. And we never get to hear from you, Lilia, about what it's all about. You made it. This is the second year in. There's loads going on. Really exciting. So we are going to have our live today talking to you. We're going to actually interview each other, I reckon, aren't we? A bit of back and forth.
Yes, and listen, thank you so much for doing this. I love the idea.
We never hear from you, and it's about time. So here we go. So I'm gonna kick off. I think, yeah. First question. We've written these down, so sorry if I read off the page a little bit. So, okay, Lilia. So what would you say to people who think that this festival in April is just for like hippies and not for them?
Yes, I've heard that, that it's probably, a little bit flaky for, I don't really understand that point of view because
You're in
it's
the world.
basic. It's a lot of the stuff, the talks in particular, well, if you're into wellness, I think are absolutely fascinating, and it's definitely not for one demographic. But I think if you think of any festival, even some of the ones that we've loved, there's preconceived ideas about what it is,
Yeah.
and also there's an idea that hippies don't work, don't participate. Do you know what I mean? There's
We
all
all
these.
have dreadlocks, all of them,
Yeah,
apparently.
smoke a lot of dope. And you know what was really interesting? Well, I think you can see clearly now a lot of people now are choosing not to drink alcohol or take any substances. They're just realizing that it's not doing them any good. Although I have absolutely no problem with anybody who chooses to do whatever. But yeah, I think, and what's great when you have we do a BYOB on the Saturday night, but in general, it's pretty much a sober festival. Certainly through the days where people can just come and because you're going to get far more out of it.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if you're engaged in an activity, whatever that may be, the alcohol, yes, obviously it can be fun and it can be an enhancer. But if you're engaged and your brain's engaged all day and you're busy and you're learning and meeting people, you don't think about it. It
Absolutely
doesn't need
not.
to happen, really.
And when I was down at Community at Russell Brand's festival, which again, I think it was completely no alcohol, and they had 8 like meetings every hour on the hour, so it was very much, yeah, let's get us all together. We're all addicts in some way. Let's stop separating and putting a stigma on anything, whether it's a hippie, whether it's a Ned, whether it's whatever language that people are using to perceive that we're different or separate, and just come along out of curiosity. And local people can just come to one talk if they want, if there's room, and
Yeah.
they can just check it out. Because really, I'm not sure what I can do about the section. And Malky, who owns Westlock Shores in Tarbert, I mean, he's just made such a phenomenal space out there. And
Mhm.
he was honest. He said to me, I was just kind of watching to see what you were doing and to see how people would take to it, because it's maybe a little bit different if you don't live in my world. I lived in Malta. There was festivals every single day during the summer. Art, and a festival to me doesn't just mean music.
No.
It means art, it means talks, it means new, learning new things. So the word festival, and it just says to me fun, light-hearted, and I'm all about fun. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
becoming the retreat, it's maybe a little bit more in depth, and people will be addressing their own personal issues. The festival's not about that. The festival's educate, inspire, support, and have as much fun as you can, and meet other people that are looking around now going, things aren't great out there. The NHS is, in a bit of a state. The care system's in a bit of a state.
A bit.
Um, So that, for me, that could impact me quite significantly over the next 10, if I was lucky enough to get that, years. So it's also about prevention. And if you were unlucky enough to get a diagnosis of any level of severity, that you're educated in all this stuff. Because what is homeopathy? What is biofeedback? You hear all these words. What is sentient yoga? A lot of people, they hear the words, but they've got no idea and they've never experienced it. So
they've also got no one to ask, because it's either you go to a class and you're in it, or you're not, and there's no one to actually, like, I love this phrase, that if anyone hasn't heard Lilia's phrase about keeping the kilt on it, I love it. Keep the kilt on it, Sarah. I love it. It's like there's no one, just come and talk to people. Actually talk to the therapist, find out what it's about with no judgment. And if you don't like it, I always think about this festival as a bit of a buffet. You can go around and you can sample, food tolerance testing, a bit of yoga, meditation, whatever it sounds, healing. You can sample it all out and see what works for you, because one destination, many paths. You can go around them all if you want, and they might not work for you.
That was the whole thinking, I said to you earlier, I've spent decades obsessed. You ask anybody who knows me well, I read and listen to nothing else. A lot of my clients are young mums with young children that have been diagnosed terminal, and it breaks my heart, because I've got 2 daughters myself. I've got all friends with all of their friends, and I'm like, what can we do so that we don't get to that place where the body is so exhausted and broken down that you get diagnosed with a terminal disease? And even if you were unlucky enough for that to happen, how can we manage it better? How can we look after mums? How can we support each other? And Tarbert is, unique. It's spectacularly beautiful, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a very strong community. Yeah. And we all know that brings good things and bad things, But really, when you can focus in on the power of the community, and I think when we lost Nancy Glenn, that you saw it at its absolutely most powerful. And, I was at Archie McGilp's funeral yesterday in Lochilphead, and you see the community, everybody drops things and goes to the church to hold space for the family. And that's a big part of what is getting lost, the community and looking after each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And so, talking about Tarbert, so I was watching something the other day, and it was a little thing by Ewan McGregor, and he said, I don't know whoever it was that made the world, but whoever they did, I think they started with Scotland, because it's so spectacularly beautiful. But Argyll in particular, the West Coast, there's nowhere like it. I've been all over the world, and so have you. And you come back, it is incredible. And Tarbert's a beautiful village, but why here? Why for that? Because it's lots of different things going on. You could be anywhere. Why Tarbert specifically for this festival this year?
Well, I tell you, last year, I only had about a 2-month lead in last year, and I was down at something, and then they said, well, you can hire the marina for £50, the marquee for £50 deposit.
Yeah.
So that's when I thought, well, because anybody that runs events knows that your venue costs a fortune, and then you're totally stressed trying to sell tickets to pay for the venue, and then to pay for the acts, and then it's a business model that I've been there, seen it, and done it, and I'm just not prepared to put myself under any level of stress anymore. So it's a very simple model that Tarbert provides us phenomenal, and I think it will be marketed as a wellness area. Phenomenal setting. Darren and the Gaz are incredibly helpful. They're actually excited about the festival, and I'm sure you don't always get that level. Malky as well this year. Yeah. They're excited about what we're doing, because so often you're dead enthusiastic and then people just throw water onto your fire. Yeah. So I was really impressed how the marina helped and supported and were excited about to have something new, because again, that's not always easy. So that's how it, and I thought, you know what, there's not really any great financial risk here. I'll run it. We might not make any money, but let's see how it lands. So that's how it came about.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal success. And one of the big things that I really loved was all the people that have helped me over the years with Scotland, donated their time, because it's clear they give me an hour, 90 minutes of their time, and in exchange they get a ticket. So a lot of people that are there will be paying for their own accommodation, because literally, as I say, I cannot carry any more than I'm currently carrying. So people have been given that gift to Heal Scotland, because it's not about me, it's about the community. And in return, they come to a festival and they get all to go to all these amazing classes. And all my friends were saying, that was incredible. I felt amazing at the end. And that's what you want, isn't it? So it's a hugely cheap weekend. You've got 3 days for £99. And if you've got kids, the kids come for free. but they can only be at the gather. That's the one designated area for children and dogs. But it means that the healers and teachers and that have helped me will also get to experience a phenomenal weekend. So it's a win-win, and that's what we want.
We've got a message. So, Kay Marie, we'll post the link after the live to. We sold one already. Can you post the link to the info and tickets? So yes, we'll do that after the live on the Heal Scotland Facebook page and on the Wild Medicine Facebook page as well. So hang fire after the live. So yeah, I was thinking about community earlier on. I read this really beautiful quote by Ram Dass, and so a satsang is a community. Satsang in yoga it actually means basically truth, a community of truth. So being in the community of truth, which I really loved. And the quote said, "Sacred community or satsang is the place to find fellow truth seekers on a path. Together we create a heart-filled space that deepens us into the practices and teachings, and we hold a refuge for those hungry for connection, including ourselves, and collectively we hold a wisdom that helps us remember when we forget." And I was like, this is why community festivals are important, especially healing festivals. And like you say, Tarbert already has that amazing community. I think it's about changing the sort of misconception about what hippies or what yoga or holistic therapies really are. And like we've discussed, it's whilst we're in that world and maybe cannot remember what it was like to look in on it and think it was this like hippie vibe not accessible to us, it's about finding ways to bring the language even that we use, bring it so it's available to other people who maybe haven't been there before and are worried about coming. I think we were talking earlier on about why would people be worried. What would you say to someone who was like really concerned, it's not for me, I'm not bendy enough, I don't want to wear lycra, I get that a lot in yoga. What would you say to someone who is apprehensive, never been before, never dipped their toe in the pool of this kind of stuff? What would you say?
I think, it's going to be really simple to come and wander around and get a sense without anybody even knowing that you're really there. If that's how, we're talking about the Wim Hof instructors as well. I said, not everybody wants to be with 200 people breathing. I mean, that's my idea of heaven. I love collective and I love seeing, big groups like that going into the water. But there are people who don't want that and are maybe not emotionally.
That's pressure, really. A lot of people doing something you don't know about. That can be pressure,
So if you have heard, for possibly quite some time about cold water, about breath work, but you're not sure, or a lot of people are worried to start doing it in case they start crying. Because we're talking about emotions here, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to offer private sessions. So, and also, again, the Wim Hof instructors will have their T-shirts on, they'll probably have their kilts on to talk to them. So even out of the workshop or setting, you're going to get a chance to go and say, well, look, I've been diagnosed with X, Y, and Z. Do you think this can help me? Because, let's take all the claptrap out of it and all the fancy dancing words. This is about our health and well-being and our ability to be happy in our bodies and in our relationships and in our family. And also, it's about making sure we're the best ancestor we can be to our children and our grandchildren and not passing on a lot of the crap that we've inherited or having to deal with. So what can you do in order to help yourselves and to make more harmony in your family and maybe your relationships? We know with marriages breaking down and people trying to bring children up on their own. We have real problems here and the government's not coming to fix it, in case you hadn't noticed.
That ship sailed a long time ago. But
absolutely. So this is a movement for the people, by the people. And it's down to earth. I would like to think that I'm pretty down to earth. I still like to party. I'm still the person I was. But what happened was, extreme emotional pain when Joanna was diagnosed. It made me think, that's what took me in this trajectory. As usual, when people create something, it's come from their own personal suffering and pain.
Usually, isn't it? That's the case. Personal experience with any life change, actually, be that diet or anything like that, it's usually personal experience that brings people to that point.
Yes. So what then can you do? And, our people, because the reality is what we have on offer right now, which is crumbling in front of us, might not even be there in 2 years. So what are you going to do then? What do you know about your body? Do you know about the emotional
Yeah, absolutely.
trauma?
Sorry.
You know, so it is your job to learn about the body for your health, your children's health, making sure you're blindly trusting people that are trained by techno companies that don't have your best interests at heart. I don't want to bang on about big pharma, but nature's where it's at. All their products come from nature.
Yeah, and the other thing is, why not give nature a bash? Like, what have you got to lose? You go to the doctor and they can't fix the physical problem, so they send you to, like a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Then they can't fix the diagnosed mental problem, so they send you back to the doc. Must be a physical thing. And actually, in between all of that, there's another way. There's another healing element. I'm not discrediting either of those things. Of course, they're absolutely crucial, but there is other things that you can do, and I think for yourself, like you've just said it, for yourself, as you're always saying, but like for taking responsibility, which is a hard thing to do if you're already suffering. Take responsibility for yourself, but at the end of the day, especially in yoga, it's your own personal journey. Whether you're at a class or not, you cannot be told to think or do, or you can put your body in a certain position. It's up to you. It's your journey. And so it's about understanding how you can take responsibility rather than just feeling like, oh, it's another thing I have to do. There are quite simple things and tools and techniques that you can do that will actually cause quite a profound change. And I always say, if you've got this big block of problem, be that sickness or maybe mental health, or if you're suffering, you've got this block and you can't see anything by it. If you just move one little part, it starts to loosen, doesn't it? Loosen the barrier. So maybe you go to a yoga class, for example, every single week, and you think it's not doing you any good. Something it will be, even if that just means you've been breathing a bit better once a week. That little shift will loosen the barrier, So I agree.
Absolutely. And I love what my friend John said, when he, from a lifetime in hospitality and stress and crazy hours, and then starting to actually take care of his diet, he felt better in 2 weeks. Yeah. It's not far away. It doesn't have to be far away feeling better. Yeah. But, and I always say, imagine a world where you were diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer that was deemed to be terminal. And I said, well, if you do these things for 2 years, you'll be fine. Why would that not be exciting?
Yeah.
Why would that be like, oh, I can't do that? because right now nobody else is doing it. And this is what's really, really critical about us tribing up and taking our own power back.
Yes.
So that we can do it together and we can make it fun. Life should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you can't laugh, you've lost. That's what they say, is if you don't laugh, you've lost already. But I think there's a stigma attached to it, whether worry that it's not going to work, or worry that you're going to become some sort of cult, or whether you join or get involved in something, it actually means something about who you are, or your projection of who you are. But actually, again, why not try it? If you've got nothing else, why not? Why not give it a bash? And let's break down those stigmas by these kind of festivals where you come and, like you say, down to earth people, talk to them. We're not gurus. People are not all gurus, but yet you have something to give. You've done it. You've tried it. You've got some wisdom. Why not chat to them? Give it back.
And everybody, when we did that goddess gathering around the country, every single female that spoke at it had come through hell.
Oh, yeah.
Hell. And then learned things and then felt better and thought, I need to tell people about this. And that's what I'm doing. That's all.
Yeah.
I feel that, for whatever reason, this is what I'm supposed to do. I can't switch it off. I'm absolutely obsessed about getting the message out. And, my pals like that, how do you keep your energy up? I'm like, I don't even need to. It's just there. I know that people need to know this, and I don't proclaim to explain it. But you break your leg and you put it in a plaster, and you know that it's healing. You don't feel it. You don't watch it. You don't doubt it. You know that under that plaster, or a boot now, I think more they use, that the body is doing what it needs to do. The bone is the innate intelligence. We all know it's there.
Yeah.
We started as one cell. And the cells knew what to do. We didn't go, all right, make an eye now. Oh, big toe, you forgot a big toe. No, we didn't.
Let's get it in a schedule. Budget. Yeah, absolutely.
A really nice one. We don't have anything to do with that intelligence. It's creation process, the ultimate creation process.
Yeah.
So where along the line did we think that there's some diseases that will heal and others that absolutely won't? Why did we start thinking that? Why are we not striving for better ways? It's like you're not allowed to question the status quo. We're still the 1938 Cancer Act. It's nearly 100 years old.
Yeah.
Why are we not updating these things? I mean, it's just drives me crazy. So I'm spending all day trying to explain to people, well, maybe you are going to die, but maybe you're not.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe there's things you could do that can completely change your terrain, your microbiome, your feelings of purpose and connection to other humans. Because I'm with Lynn McTaggart. Community and altruism heal. Forget the food, forget the emotional, forget when you give back into your community, and it's in the 12-step program, it's in the biggest business networking in the world.
Yeah.
Give again. When we give, when we stop focusing and obsessing on this, we give it the peace and the time to do the healing.
Well, I think it's that, again, that concept of I, me, my, I, me, I am separate from everything else. And that is told to us since we're very young. And again, that is, I mean, I can only speak from a yoga perspective, but, you know, I think a lot of people think yoga is just about twisting yourself in a pretzel. You know, how can I get a tighter butt, you know, and all that stuff. Actually, you know, the concepts of yoga are so massive and so much to unpack in them. But you know, that is one of the main things, like this concept of like you being separate from everything else. And it's actually, like you just said, it's nonsense. We aren't separate. We're made of the same stuff, you know, physically made of the same stuff, but also we're all in the same thing, you know, we're in it together. And trying to break down that concept of separatism or being guarded, being fearful because you've got your thing to protect. And actually, when you start breaking down that barrier, even just for yourself, even just a little bit in your mind, it really opens up much more space for like this more fluid and blissful existence in a way. And that's not saying that I am there. I am not the person who's achieved all of yoga. But if you get little snippets of it, I'm like you. I'm like, I want someone else to feel like I feel or have felt in that moment. And you want to pass it on. So it's not really, it doesn't really come from a place of like, again, me, my ego, and I want to share it out. It's more, I've had a bit of the snippet of experience of like breaking down that oneness and it feels really lovely. So why don't you give it a bash as well? So it's a really nice place to start from. And if people are suffering from physical illness as well, I think it's like, you know, yes, you might be terminally ill. And yes, that illness, you have a broken leg, you know, at the end of the day, it's a broken bone, or you have, you know, stage 4 cancer or whatever. But then I still think, well, but what have you got to lose? Because if it does even help you mentally feel better or a little bit less pain or sleep well, it's still a bonus. And I don't really see much negative from these kind of therapies and these kind of community festivals. Really, it's a really good opportunity in a down-to-earth way to discover what might work for you. And I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way I, you know, because obviously I think about this all the time, what's the best way to get the message out? Because like we were talking about earlier, how can we keep a kilt on it? How can we make people understand and feel the truth in it? And for me, we have to start with what we think the body is. Our perception of the body is absolutely antiquated. And I say this to my brothers all the time, you're a dinosaur. You've not got how magnificent the body is, the electromagnetic field, the connection to the unified field. Use whatever language you want. We're a phenomenal energy mass interacting with a mind-blowing energy mass. And, you know, it's a bit like, why is it so difficult to believe that you're powerful? And it's so easy to believe that you're powerless. And why is it so challenging for us to look at the pain from the past and our dark side, our inner child? Again, you can use any words that you like there. The guilt and the shame that we carry from the past because we were made to believe there was something wrong with us when there was nothing wrong with us. We were just learning and figuring it out for ourselves, which is our free will. And eventually, you know, you start going, right, okay, I can sail this beautiful river or I can crash into the sides, which is what I've done a lot of, or I can make life easier on myself by making better choices.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the other big thing that I really see as a somebody who works with biofeedback and really reading what the body's saying, is the time. I can't fix anybody. I wish I could. I can
Great.
help them fix themselves. I can help them create an environment for healing. There's no doubt about it. But I love what my teacher tells me. She said, "You're not treating people, you're training them.
Yeah.
Training them
Yeah.
that how to heal themselves and how to maintain the garden, because it is, yes, you can get the best landscapers in the world in, you can go on an amazing retreat, you can get everything great, and then you go back home, or then your gardeners leave. What happens then?
Mhm.
So it's the daily tending of the garden that keeps you well.
Yeah.
And we'll go off the rails at times and we come back on. You know, that's your prerogative. And
Yeah.
that's where the fun comes in. But in general now we're realising, and also I think if you don't learn to look after your body and give it a wee bit of love and care, and very often it's just the self-talk that's doing a lot of the
Most
dance.
of the time, it's the monkey mind again, the ego, the monkey mind, and what it's telling you to attach to, and I think as well that's another thing that we're taught our whole life. It's just like this is good and this is bad. You know, this is a good thing to do. This is a bad thing to do. It's a good emotion, bad emotion, and we absolutely are told to attach to it. Laughter is good. This is a good feeling, you know, pleasure, and then all the stuff the anger, bad, you know, and that is nonsense as well. It's about sitting with yourself, like, and just let come, let go, you know, just watching it. Like, you know, I think it's just really fascinating. I love that, like sailing, you can just sail down the river, or you can bash off the sides. I'm yet to meet anyone that's sailed down any river. We all bash off the sides, but I think it's about sitting with that and accepting that that is going to be the case. And I think there's a misconception as well that you come to, again, from a yoga perspective, that you come to yoga's all about feeling better. Is it hell? It's about sitting with all the stuff. See all that stuff you don't want to talk about? We're going to talk about that, and we're going to think about it, and then we're going to break it down, and then we're going to watch it happen. All the stuff that you think or you've been told is negative, that's the stuff you need to sit with. And it's okay. It's okay. Like, don't worry about it. Don't attach to the, like, oh my God, it's awful. Just being there and sitting with it. And that's a really hard thing to achieve. And again, I'm sure you haven't either achieved it all the time, but it's being aware that it's an option right at the beginning. It's an option to not attach.
Practice. You know, it's an ongoing practice, and
Yeah.
in a journey with a destination that you never reach, because as soon as you start thinking, oh, I'm getting the hang of this, then suddenly something else is on. Like
Yeah.
COVID, that really rocked my entire world.
Yeah.
And obviously found myself, you know, thinking very differently from a lot of other people and being hugely disapproved of. And so you're like, oh, and judging and wanting to actually hurt people. So you're like, you're not so zen after all.
But again, it's a lesson, right? It's a lesson. That's okay. Like, maybe you realize something about yourself, and that's only ever a good thing. I don't think learning something about yourself is ever a negative thing. Like, it might seem like that at the time, or you might feel upset about it, but actually in the long term, it's a good thing, because you can adjust. You know, I think people think you reach adulthood and you've nailed it. That's you. You should now be this way because you're an adult. But actually, that's a dangerous place to be, assuming that you're here and that's just who you are, that you've conquered it. You should be wanting to learn personal development. You should want that. Again, this festival, if you have questions about yourself, even, you know, mental, or your body, or what's happening, or, you know, this is the place to do it. Come for a weekend and actually explore. You can do whatever you want, and it's so diverse, all the things that you're offering at the festival as well. It's literally a buffet. You can go and pick and choose, and actually surround yourself, so be surrounded by, you know, the satsang, the community of people who are also doing the same thing. I can absolutely guarantee there'll be other people with the same questions as you have at this festival, and it's a really nice time to go around and chat to people, chat to Lilia, you know, all your different experiences, and just be in the same place as them, hang out, have a conversation. It's not so pressurized under a classroom setting or a retreat setting, you know.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you know, you go to do a course and you think you're going to learn one thing, and they end up coming away. You've met somebody, you've made a strong connection,
Yeah.
and that could be in business, it could be in health, you know, it could be somebody that you know could help somebody else.
Yeah.
And you know, knowledge doesn't heal us. We've got Google, and we're sicker than we've ever been, and we've got more pharmaceuticals than we've ever had. Things are going the wrong way, and the government is not going to fix it. It's got to be us. And, you know, let me ask you a question. What do you think we can do to make this festival as inclusive and fear-free, welcoming as possible?
Yeah.
Or do you think we just have to run it for a few years until people get used to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely early. Obviously, I mean, a lot of things like this take quite a while to set up. And in my actual day job, I do work for a network, actually working for a network of charities. So it's kind of similar. It takes a while to get the message across. But I think, especially doing things like this, but especially this, like I know we keep going back to this, keep the kilt on it, but keeping it down to earth. That really does work because I think there's all these misconceptions. We are fighting against decades of misconceptions in the West about what these kind of therapies are, and actually what people, they're told to believe things about all, be that yoga or any different therapy. It's about breaking down that, and until we do that, we're never going to get pique people's interest, I don't think. But yeah, it's a it's such a massive world that we're never going to get in a live video. But I think I would say, if you have an interest in it, I mean, if you're already on the path or even have dipped your toe in and you're interested, come, because it's all there. You could try everything, and you can also get a bit more in depth into some of the things that you're interested in. But if you've never been, you've never even touched any of this stuff, and you never thought about it, there's nothing to lose. There's literally nothing to lose. If you do nothing else but come and have a good laugh, go to a Kaylee, listen to some comedy, job
Yeah.
done. So try it out. I wonder, Lilia, before, because I don't know how long we want to run this for, but have we got any questions coming in? But I wonder if you can maybe get into maybe like one thing from each of the venues that's going on that might appeal to a more sort of general audience. Like, some people might not be into, dancing out their stress, but somebody might be into food tolerance testing or something. So maybe one thing from each venue that might appeal to a more general audience.
Yes, I think food intolerance testing is definitely something that's hugely helpful. And Lorna will be there. I think at the marquee at the marina, that's going to be for the bigger. There'll be no chairs or seats in there. Well, very few. It'll be for people that are going to be doing floor work and movement.
And can you come and go? Can you come and go? If somebody was at the festival, can they come in and then leave if they don't like it? If they're in a session they're not into it, it's dead
Yes,
easy.
absolutely, absolutely. We've tried to time it this year that you can move from one venue to the next if you want to do it, because all the talks are out at Westlaw Shores. And Gary Ferguson's going to be there with the Combat Journal, which is about gratuitous and creative writing, which I think is a really nice. I'm big on being able to do things for yourself, because you may not have the time and you may not have the budget at the moment. And the science around that is mind blowing.
Yeah.
How it douses inflammation.
And
And
where is his session, Lilia? Whereabouts is he doing
he'll
this
be
session?
out at Westlaw Shores.
And
So the
so how would you get between them all? Can you tell everyone a little bit about the distance and how that works?
the gather and the marina, you are pretty much walking distance. Although if you're disabled, because there's plenty of facility for people that are not as able. And so what we're going to do is encourage carpooling as much as possible. Out at Westloch, we'll actually have an area where people can just go and wait, and we'll either Kirsten or myself or somebody else who's going out is going to take people, and also chat to people at the festival. What are you doing next? What are you doing next? And then, because the fewer cars that are moving between the venues, the better.
Yeah.
So out at the marquee, there'll be things sort of what you're doing, movement based, somatic based, sound bath, which if you've not had a sound bath yet,
Yeah.
no, Zendevers, absolutely one of the most incredible sound baths I've had last year. So that's phenomenal, and it's everybody can do that. And you don't need to feel if you're not as mobile or if you're in pain. You can just go and sit or lie down and receive that. And all the teachers are incredible. They understand. Some bodies have more limitations than others. So again, talk to them. Come and hang out. And that's what we're saying. Most of the teachers are going to be there all weekend. The Wim Hof instructors will be there. Speak to people and find out, because really you're playing a part in this. you know, what do you need? Maybe it's for your kids, maybe it's for your teenagers, maybe it's for your mum or your dad, or what else can we do to help and support them? So out at Westlock Shores, that's where all the talks and the kind of stands will be there. The food intolerance testing, the forest bathing, all the water sports. So that's going to be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
so for anyone that doesn't know Westlock Shores, it's a beautiful sort of, it's not campsite, it's a holiday park. Looks really lovely and natural, got the most amazing view, but it's right on the shore as well, isn't it? So you can literally just walk across the road straight into the water if you wanted to. It's totally beautiful and stunning. And also the marquee where the gather is in Westlock Shores, it's a lovely journey between them even. So even if you wanted to have a little walk, take an hour off, walk into the gather, it's a lovely walk, isn't it? It's through the village. And also there's no, expectation that you have to stay within the festival activities. If you do want to have a lunch, an hour, in the cafe, there's loads of local lovely businesses around here. You can take an hour, you can go for a little walk. It's not so pressure. Quite often in a festival situation, you're kind of stuck, aren't you, in the grounds? Whereas this is like that.
Aye, people can take time out easily. I mean, it's beautiful. And from Westlock, the Tarbert Holiday Park, there's great walks up there as well. There's a little cafe there, and there's lots of different nice places to eat. We'll have more about that on the website. So there's something for everybody. That's the whole idea. And you can try new things. You can try the things that you know you like, and you can meet like-minded people. And we'll do our best with the carpooling. Most people that last year we didn't have any locals came really. It was all people that came in cars, so it wasn't really an issue. But we will be encouraging people to, share carpool. A lot of people that like movement will probably hang out at the marina and the gather. A lot of people that like the talks, but there will definitely be people that will cross over and try.
What about children, families? What about if you wanted to bring your kiddies along? What would that look like?
Well, that's what we're very
last year, right? That wasn't available last year, but this year it's changed.
Last year I just really focused on in the village, the marina, and I used the Templars Hall. And it was only afterwards, because I've not really been, out and about. I forgot about the gather, and I'd never met the amazing couple that run it, and what a brilliant job they've done with it, because it's a phenomenal setting. So that's for kids. We'll have a soft play. They're keeping the marquee up for us, so we'll have the marquee, we'll have the barn, we've got all the outdoor area, weather permitting. We'll be outside as much as possible. They obviously do phenomenal food. If you want to eat there, I highly recommend that you would book. And there's a catering kitchen as well there, and showers, etc., for people to use. So it means that if you are a single parent, you can come, you can take your dog there as well. I mean, obviously we expect you to manage that to a certain degree, but it means that people from the village can just wander along. Laurie Sylvan's going to be there. She's an amazing kids entertainer and face painter. They're going to be making crowns and wands and painting stones, and there's going to be kids sound bath, kids yoga. I'm going to be doing a bit on stressful relationships within the family. Fiona Gass is going to be there doing kinesiology. So again, lots of really practical and useful things. And it's about, instead of just going, oh my God, I don't know what to do, come and find out.
Yeah. Come and find out how you can do these things with your family as well. It's not just yes, it's a personal journey, but I think we were talking earlier on about there's a lot of children and young adults actually suffering a little bit, nowadays with this crazy world that we live in. And actually sometimes even in like, for example, in my yoga classes, there's quite a few parents who are saying, can I bring my children along? Because they want them to experience it as well, because they're maybe, suffering, maybe they're highly sensitive, or they're being bullied, or they're struggling with something, many things. They want to bring them along because they want them to experience it as well. So it's a really good opportunity. Again, if you yourself have interest or curiosity, you can actually now do it with your family.
Absolutely. And the kids will all get, the more kids you've got, the more they all go and play together.
Yeah.
My real desire is that mums or dads, especially if they're on their own, but not, obviously it's hard for every parent nowadays with all the shoulds and the woulds and the coulds, so that they can actually get to really enjoy the festival atmosphere, have some nice food, have some chill time, learn a few things, meet some other couples, whatever. I mean, it's just, it's a beautiful area, and it's safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the village generally is a really safe place. It's a really lovely place to grow up. I was very privileged to grow up in this lovely part of Scotland. yeah, so basically what we're saying is it's accessible to everyone. The festival is accessible to everyone, everybody, every age. You know, you come and there will be something for you. Absolutely. And you will get something from it. It would be interesting to hear if anyone doesn't get anything from it. But I wonder, just maybe we should wrap up, so 40 minutes in, but do you have anything that you can add about what happened last year, as in terms of feedback that you got, maybe from someone who was worried or apprehensive and then came, or some revelation or something, any feedback that you got that was really like, okay, this is a good thing to do, I'm going to do it again?
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say, the big thing for me was that all the therapists and all the people that supported Heal Scotland had such an amazing time, which was really key. All the workshops were busy, but the big breathe was phenomenal. And of course, we walked along Garville Road and we all went in over at the White Shore. And the photographer from the Oban Times said to me, on the way back, he said, that was biblical. He was still talking about how amazing they felt with the breath work and doing it in the group. And the Wim Hof instructors all there in their kilts and just guiding everybody beautifully through it. I mean, it's just, but again, it was the community.
Yeah.
You know, and also, I always say to people, if you've got a big heavy table and you're trying to lift it yourself, why would you not get other people to help you? It's easier. And that's it. When we do things collectively, our brains entrain, our cells mimic each other, we have an exponential experience. When we drop the ego and the bullshit and all the justifications and excuses, and we pull together for the greater good of each other. And everybody there is breathing to release their own pain, their stress, to gain the experience. And they want the best for everybody that's there, that's got the balls to show up and for themselves and for their community, and to try something new if you've not tried it before. And if you have tried it before, you just definitely want to be there because you know you're going to get totally high on your own supply.
Yeah, I mean, there's a takeaway tagline right there. Have the balls to show up, guys. Keep the tail on it and have the balls to show up. Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to add? A last minute, maybe just a quick recap on how much it costs, what date it is, and then we'll share the links again in both the Facebook pages right after this live. But sort of finishing some information for people just if they're interested in coming along.
So the early bird, which finishes at the end of this month, is £99 for the 3 days. If there's anybody that can't afford that, and I'm sure there are, and they really want to come genuinely, make me an offer. I'm absolutely don't want anybody to be excluded. If I had my way, everything would be free.
Yeah.
We have to pay, and what we're doing is we're raising money for a healing centre. I'm going to look at land today, actually. We need healing centres all over the country. We're going to set a pop-up healing centre in Skye for January and February. And we're going to create a place where people can come and learn when they're ready and willing. So please help me share this. Again, this is about our country, it's about our children, it's about our grandchildren. This is not a choice anymore. We have to do this.
Yeah.
Because what's the other alternative?
Well, exactly. Yeah. I think at this stage it's like that. There is no other option. Sorry. Hi, somebody called Roots Home. I see that you said you're not on Facebook. Can you post the link here too, please? Lilia, I'm actually not connected with the chat through my YouTube account, but perhaps you could just share that link again to the event. If anyone is on here and misses these links, then if you just go to the website, which is Lilia Heal Scotland. .com, and there'll be a link to the event there with the program and how you buy tickets. And then, I'm sure there's a place you can email and ask any questions that you have. Or if anyone is on Facebook, then Lilia's on pretty much every day. You can ask questions, no problem. You can ask questions, anything at all. There is no silly question. Please, let's get rid of that stigma as well. I can absolutely guarantee if you have a question, somebody else will have the same one and have the same concern or worry about coming. But try it out. Get the balls to come along.
The program can change. There's various reasons when you've got that many people involved. Things happen. So just we're going to have a live version. Check it out. Plan your what you're going to do, where you're going to go. Yes, there might be two things clashing. Sorry, that when I went down to Russell Brand, I just sat with the program and looked through it and decided what I wanted to do. So you can have a vague outline, which can obviously change. There's no need to book. People have been asking that. Once you've got your ticket, you can rock up at anything. Obviously, some things will be busier, more popular than others. So just be aware of that.
And Lilia, what happened? Sorry, did they get a wristband? How does that work? So if you were a local person and you wanted to come along for maybe a session, how does that work?
That'll work by donation.
Okay.
So the people that are there will have wristbands, and there'll be somebody at each venue just kind of checking that. And if you want to just come for an hour or for for anything, like you're 8 o'clock in the morning, that might suit local people just to come do a yoga session. There's also going to be early morning Wim Hof if people want to go and do that. If you're not coming to the festival at all, but you'd like to have food intolerance testing or your tarot cards read or an ice bath, you can come and join in any of these things for a donation. So obviously everything, I'm only interested in helping people. And if we can make good money at the same time, we're going to have a better healing centre, and we're going to have a much greater impact in changing our health trajectory from one of the worst in the world to one of the best. That's the goal.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining my live on your page. It was great to chat to you and hear all about the festival and all the wonderful things that Heal Scotland are doing from the horse's mouth, from you, who never gets interviewed. So thank you very much. Please do visit the website. Please do come along. Even if you're interested, curious, don't worry. We keep the kilt on it. And we'll hopefully see you in a very sunny spring-like Scotland. No midges in April. The date, Lilia, the date.
12th to the 14th.
12th to the 14th of April this year.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right, thanks everyone.
Fantastic.
See you all soon, hopefully. And bye, Lilia.